From sea to sea, Canada's motto celebrates more than the Earth's longest coastline. It honors the forests, mountains, prairies, and tundra within its shores, the diversity of its people, and from the Atlantic to the Pacific, a storied history of using its varied and vast natural resources to the benefit of the nation and beyond its borders. Exploring what's possible in Canada demands technological innovation, integrity, respect, and initiative befitting Canada's importance to the global energy supply. Canada, a net exporter of oil, natural gas, coal, and electricity, is the world's 5th largest energy producer, sending approximately 90% of its energy exports southward. Canada is the United States' single largest foreign energy supplier, and the United States is Canada's largest foreign investor. While its trading partnership with its southern neighbor is unique in the world, Canada's ample resources, political stability, and relative proximity also make it an attractive source for the growing markets of Asia-Pacific, markets which command higher prices for and consume greater quantities of LNG every day.
British Columbia and Canada are leading the G7 countries in terms of economic growth. We have a very stable economic and banking system, and we have the opportunity, because of a richness in natural resources, particularly in oil and gas in Western Canada, the opportunity for greatness as a global player in the world marketplace.
Canada's approach to global energy security has created a business environment that encourages private investment and enables companies like Apache to be successful. As a result, since 1980, Canada's energy production has nearly doubled.
There's a few things that differentiate Canada from the rest of the regions. It is fundamentally a very mature basin, and so it's incumbent upon the region to think of novel approaches to problems that are faced by a lot of the players in this area. One of the things I think we've excelled at is get into the unconventional game in Canada very early. And people in the groups have provided a lot of creativity, which will unlock a lot of resource and reserve in the future.
Apache Canada's substantial producing and undeveloped resources were bolstered by an acquisition from BP in 2010. From assets across British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, the region now contributes significantly to Apache's worldwide proved reserves and production. And while acquisitions typically grab the headlines, the region's long-term natural gas production and reserve growth will be driven by development of large resources discovered by Apache in the Horn River Basin. A world-class shale play. Horn River offers 30 to 50 years of development opportunities from Apache's acreage, with net estimated resources up to 10 trillion cubic feet, more than Apache's worldwide proved natural gas reserves at the end of 2010. Wells typically begin flowing at 10 million cubic feet per day, and there are thousands of potential drilling locations on Apache's acreage. Production from the area depends only on capital spending. Located in a remote wilderness area on land best described as a bog, Canada's largest shale play challenges what's possible with harsh conditions, technical complexities, and environmental sensitivities. Here, Apache is using exciting new technologies to create a model of responsible shale development, minimizing both the surface footprint and water usage necessary to develop the resource. Multi-well drilling pads on just 10 acres host as many as 16 horizontal wells that can develop rich shale resources spanning 2,200 total acres, nearly 2 miles below the surface. To improve the project's economics, Apache engineers developed a unique manifold that permits more efficient frac fluid handling and continuous fracking operations. With its partner in Canada, Apache responded to one of our stakeholders' greatest concerns: limiting the amount of fresh water used to complete wells. A sustainable, first-of-its-kind solution was developed: a closed-system, full-scale water treatment plant. Water is produced from wells drilled into the non-potable DeBolt water sand far below drinking water formations. Treated at the plant, mixed with other materials to fracture stimulate the production from tight shale gas formations, and then flowed back and returned to the DeBolt formation. This system generates the majority of the water required for the play. Apache's Noel project in the Catamount play sets a new industry benchmark for responsible and balanced resource development. Noel's near-zero emissions well site design uses electric compressors powered primarily by renewable energy, including solar energy stored in batteries on site. Solar and hydropower represent 84% of the power used at Noel. In the field, Apache's use of multi-well pads and horizontal and multilateral wells limit the number of pipelines, roads, and wells required. Technologies that enable remote operation of the field also reduce traffic headed to and from Noel. All of these initiatives enhance Noel's economics while minimizing its environmental impact. Apache's Canadian gas resources currently supply the North American natural gas market, which has become more challenging with the development of abundant shale gas resources. Apache's response is the Kitimat LNG project.
We have such a reserve base that it made a project like Kitimat extremely important for Apache Canada and for Canada, for North America, for the whole stakeholder group. Right now, Canada exports about half of its gas to the United States, but Kitimat will provide another outlet for that, not only to the States, but also to Japan, to Asia. Just lets us take it around the world.
Kitimat is an average 11-day voyage to Pacific Basin LNG markets, one of the shortest shipping routes possible from an international energy market. Through the Kitimat LNG project, Asian utility companies can diversify their energy portfolios with exposure to one of the largest natural gas supplies in the world, gathered from any number of Canadian sources, including the Horn River Basin. Kitimat LNG will be powered primarily by hydroelectric power and will include natural gas liquefaction, LNG storage, and marine unloading facilities. The facility will be located in close proximity to existing natural gas transmission infrastructure and will have initial plant capacity of about 700 million cubic feet per day. Contracts with the First Nations for the pipeline route and plant site will help spur local economic development and provide long-term employment opportunities.
The relationship with Apache actually means for the Haisla people that we're finally getting what we always wanted, and that was to participate in the economy in Haisla territory. This is the very first project that we're getting to that's on such a large scale, and it's historic.
While natural gas is a huge story in Canada, the country is also the United States' single largest supplier of crude oil. Apache's work in Mydale, Saskatchewan, where technology maximizes production while reducing greenhouse gas emissions, has garnered international attention.
The Apache Mydale facility is quite unique in itself. It is the second largest enhanced oil recovery project like it in Canada. We are taking CO2 that would otherwise be emitted to atmosphere, finding a useful purpose, pumping it into the reservoir to increase the oil recovery of this project by 16 to 17% over the life of the project. That oil would otherwise be left in place and unproduced, and Apache has drawn upon technology and looked at the opportunity to further extend the lifetime of this facility.
CO2 removed from the exhaust of a coal-fired electric plant is transported by pipeline to Mydale and injected into the underground oil reservoir. There, the CO2 works like fizz in a pop bottle, freeing the oil to flow toward a producing wellbore. Incremental recovery at Mydale is estimated at 45 to 60 million barrels of oil. Another generation of workers will find employment over the extended life of the project, and the facility will prevent nearly 9 million tons of CO2 from reaching the atmosphere. That's the equivalent of removing 2 million cars from the road for an entire year.
The oil and gas sector, primarily natural gas when we're talking about this, has brought new hope to our region. It's brought new opportunity, and a great deal of thanks has to go out to the companies such as Apache for recognizing, like I say, not only what the resource means to them and the company, but what it means to the region in which they operate, the men and women and their families, and the province in which they do their business.
In Canada, Apache has proven once again that innovation is critical to the success and sustainability of our operations. New technology reduces cost while minimizing impact. Production is improved, project life is extended, and the resources born in a community serve that community.
You know, Apache Canada over the last 5 to 10 years has been evolving from a company that drilled 1,500 wells a year, lots of shallow gas, really trying to build that base, to a company who is now doing more complex, big wells, doing things, stepping out a little bit from our normal basis that we have, and our production is really to show for that. It's continued to grow with time as we picked up the acquisitions. That's just another step change that we made.
In Canada, we find a family of like-minded explorers committed to adding energy, employment, and an independent spirit to the global economy.